Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Culture Verse podcast. Today's episode, we're going to start with a really big current event. You definitely know what you're talking about if you were anywhere near your phone yesterday and follow Marvel at all. But after that, we're going to get into one of our last movie reviews here for the decades. It's the 20s movie that I chose, which was Monkey Man. But first, we're going to get into this current event. So, Tyler, why don't you open it up for us?
Well, as most of you probably know, Marvel decided to do a live stream and drop chairs of names for each character and person that will be involved with Avengers Doomsday. It was a live stream that lasted over 5 hours, and over 10 million people were involved watching it.
Yeah. I actually have the list of names pulled up here, so I can go ahead and read those off if you guys are good with that.
Sure.
We got Chris Hemsworth returning as Thor. We have Anthony. Well, I'm not going to say returning as who because technically we don't know who they're playing, so you can assume. But
Right.
it's a multiversal movie. I'm not going to say
They
every single
better be
character,
playing those
every
people.
single.
Chris
I'm
Evans
just
is Human
saying, I'm just
Torch.
going to say the actors. So we have Chris Hemsworth, we have Anthony Mackie, we have Letitia, yeah, is
Letitia.
that how you pronounce
Letitia.
it? Letitia, right? We have Paul Rudd, we have Sebastian Stan, Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Wyatt Russell, Kelsey Grammer, Danny Ramirez, Lewis Pullman, David Harbour, Winston Duke, Hannah John Kamen, Tom Hiddleston, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Iman Moss, Bachrach, right? Is that how you pronounce that, Jack?
I think so.
Joseph Quinn, Sima Liu, Alan Cumming. To this will be a good one. Tanakh Huerta Mejia.
Namor.
Yep. Rebecca Roman. Yeah, Roman. Yeah.
Mystique.
Channing Tatum, James Marsden, Florence Pugh, and then of course Robert Downey Jr., who had the big dramatic ending to the live where he walked in through a very large door and walked all the way down to his seat. It was pretty cool. But yeah, so that's it, just the first batch. It is being said that there's obviously going to be more actors in it. At some point, they will start to name some more of those actors, but it also sounds like there's going to be several actors that we're not sure if they will be listed. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle this. If they're going to continue to name a lot more actors, just a few more. I would assume it's not going to be a lot more, probably smaller than what we just got here since 27 was a pretty large amount. I mean, they're putting a lot of pressure on the Russos here, that's for sure, with all these different characters. But I mean, obviously the Russos are wanting to take it on, but I just can't believe some of these names that we got. I mean, we're getting most of the main X-Men back from the old Fox universe. That's pretty crazy. Most of the big ones, at least, getting both Magneto and Charles is just crazy. I mean, like that's so cool. Like I am so excited for that. Having Patrick and Ian McKellen back is that's just going to be so cool.
The budget for this movie is going to be $650 million.
Minimum. This budget's going to be ridiculous.
What was Endgame's? Just for reference. Does anybody
I
know?
don't. I'm not
Jack
sure
would be the one to know,
exactly
probably.
what it was.
No, I just know that it made $3 billion, so it doesn't matter what they spent on it.
Well, that's a
Which is the
component.
same with this movie, is it'll
Uh,
clear 2 billion easily, so it won't matter.
their budget was 356 million for
I
Endgame.
think it'll double. It could
I don't think
double.
it'll double.
I think
Be
it'll.
close.
I think it'll be close with how many actors
500
are going to be
probably.
in this movie. I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah, it'll be 500 or less, I bet.
It's just crazy, man. There's so many,
Because,
and we don't even
yeah,
know if this is like half. I'm assuming it's over half, but you can't really assume with this type of movie. This is such a big deal. Like, it's just crazy, and it's not just like there are definitely some smaller names here, but there are some huge names here as well. I mean, there are people.
Massive, even.
I Nope. You have obviously RDJ and Chris Hemsworth alone is like that alone is gonna be ridiculous. But you get Pedro in there, you have Patrick and Ian McKellen, like you have so many characters that are going to be and that's just like the characters that we know. I mean, obviously there could be if Holland's gonna be in it, I'd be surprised if he isn't at least mentioned. I did see a rumor today.
I think I know what you're going to say here.
Yeah, there was a rumor today that an insider said that the events of Spider-Man 4 will take place during Doomsday, meaning he might not be in Doomsday, which that'd be interesting. honestly, I don't think it's crazy to think that. Honest, me as a Spider-Man fan, I would be sad. I would understand it, assuming that they do Spider-Man 4 justice and at least explain the story well, but it's hard to think of why you wouldn't use him in this movie, especially with, RDJ being Doom. Like, it- waiting until Secret Wars to introduce that relationship feels interesting, to say
I
the least.
I was gonna say I wonder if maybe they were hoping it would come out before, but kind of just like it just kind of came that way. They're like, now it's happening during it. We promise it's during it and not after.
I feel like if that is the case, that's really lazy. I feel like Marvel wouldn't have just banked on hoping that they don't come out at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
Spider-Man is way too important of a character for them to just be like, well, I sure hope these movies don't align. I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I think that they have a story they're wanting to tell. Spider-Man 4, from the way that they're acting, is going to be a insanely important movie. I mean, there have been so many different thoughts and theories and leaks and concepts about what Spider-Man 4 is going to be about. So it'll be interesting to see how they do tie this into the general story. And for all we know, that leak is incorrect or partially correct. Maybe it does take place at the same time, but that doesn't mean he's not going to be in it, just because it takes place during events that take place at the same time doesn't mean it's going to be the entire length of the movie Doomsday. So it'll be interesting to see how that's handled. But outside of Tom, I mean, there's a lot of other big Marvel characters that weren't mentioned. I mean, Brie Larson, arguably, I'd be surprised if she's not in this. Being Captain Marvel, it'd be surprising. But there's several characters that weren't named that easily could be. You got Ruffalo as Hulk. You have there's a lot of names that weren't said that definitely could be. So talking about the budget,
I think the surprise for me was Doctor Strange.
yeah, he's not
For
been
some
named
reason
either. That's
I'm forgetting Cumberbatch.
Benedict. Yeah, Benedict.
I think because he had said he's in it, so I
Yeah, he
think
literally, and he was definitely, I don't believe he was supposed to say that, but he made a
probably not.
comment about him being in both of them, him being in Secret Wars and Doomsday, which I,
I was just
yeah,
gonna ask. I was gonna say, what were your guys' thoughts on them doing this kind of style of thing? Because I know I've seen a couple takes, and I know we talked about it too, but I saw a couple people saying that they thought it was lazy of them for to do this because it's just like
Extremely.
it's basically like maximizing the viewership, which is an argument I see. I think I kind of wanted to see what I'll open it to Tyler and Jack just to see like that, and then I wanted to rebuttal them.
We're
Go
trying
ahead.
to set us up for failure.
Go ahead. I was kidding. I really don't have a vendetta. I think you guys should go.
Well, I'm not a big fan of how they did this because for starters, you're just going to spoil majority of not every like story wise, but like sitting in the theater not knowing that Ian McKellen and Charles Xavier wasn't going to be in this movie would have been so cool. But now we know
Yeah.
he's going to be in this movie, so it's like we obviously don't know when or where they're going to show up, but it's just it takes the fun out of it. And for people to sit in a room and say, let's set up chairs and live stream for 5 hours, to think that's a creative idea is hilarious to me, especially coming from a $1 billion company from Disney.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say. Oh, sorry.
No,
Go.
I would just second that. And it's not only I've seen stuff about this too, but it's not only spoiling who's going to be in Doomsday, but I mean it basically spoiled Thunderbolts too.
Mm-hmm.
We now know that no one important will die in Thunderbolts, except for Taskmaster, of course, who is a goner.
You said
But
important.
not really. So that's the least like
That's the
hyped or
surprise.
desired character in Thunderbolts. Honestly, if she's alive by the end of the movie, that would be a surprise. So I guess that's a possibility still. But in terms of them just like kind of leaking this stuff, Marvel is so good historically at keeping secrets. Even when people get like leaked that they're on set or theories come out, they do such a good job hiding it or not confirming it. Like look at No Way Home. We were pretty sure Andrew and Toby were gonna be in it, but we didn't know. It wasn't confirmed by Marvel. We were pretty sure, and then it was hype as hell when they came out. And for example, with Deadpool and Wolverine, zero idea that Blade and Gambit and Electro would be in that movie. Absolutely none.
Same with Chris
Like,
Evans, and they
and
took
Chris Evans,
several
yeah.
photos of that scene, and you didn't see Chris Evans there at all.
Like they just do such a good job historically, and I know there's going to be more cast members, so you're probably going to see more, or there's probably going to be things that we didn't know about that will show up in the movie. But I mean, Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, although I don't see 85-year-old Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen having significant roles anyway, but that still would have been
They're
crazy,
dead.
like cameo to have in there. Probably, probably, unfortunately. Um, if they like do another event, because they said that there's more cast members to announce, they do another event like this and just drop a bunch more characters' names that would be in the movie, I'm gonna be pissed.
Hmm.
Because, like Tyler said, not only is it spoilers for the movie, but it's also literally just sitting there watching chairs for 5 hours. Every 15 minutes, someone pulls up their Spotify and plays a hero theme, and then they do the next, pull the next chair out.
I
Like,
see. Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's you guys make good points too. I just think that maybe they're surprising or at least saving maybe the best surprises for the end because I wonder if
I
because
hope
I think
so.
McKellen and Stewart are like the two people have been talking about the most, but I wonder if it's more of like maybe they'll have Fassbender and McAvoy in the movie as a more
Fassbender,
prominent.
McAvoy,
Maybe there'll be
Hugh
like a different
Jackman.
role and it'll be like a cameo, small thing for them.
Yeah.
So I think maybe, and also the big thing too is like I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but like because I agree that there's
Hmm.
a lack. I mean, there is a niche to not saying who's in the movie.
Hmm.
Like that's a thing. Like, that's a surprisal thing. But I think that the plot is the thing that to me is reign supreme over like an appearance. So I think the fact that we don't really know what the plot is creates
True.
more of that surprise and hype. I mean I can also see why it would kill some hype, but more so I just think that like the whole thing is really exciting anyways. And honestly, the fact that even McKellen and Stewart in the movie itself will probably get some more people in seats too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Hmm. No, I agree. When it comes to the seat thing, I think this movie was gonna bring people in the seats no matter
Hmm.
what.
Yeah, but
Like Jack said, this is gonna make 2 billion minimum.
yes, I know, but you always, I mean, it's not like you don't want to like sell anybody. Like you want to get as many
Mhm.
people as you can for sure, anyways. But true.
Well, this is by no means me criticizing the way they're announcing the event, lowering my excitement for the movie.
Mhm.
Like this is an Avengers movie. I love all the Avengers movies, and I've loved every single MCU project made by the Russo brothers. This is not like a concern to me. I just didn't like the way they did this specifically. I'm not like boycotting the movie or think it's going to suck now. It's a lot of people, which is nerve-wracking at points. A lot of people, a lot of storylines, a lot of teams and movies are combining, but they've done it before, so
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. This doesn't affect my hype for the movie at all. Still gonna be there, obviously, no matter what, day one. But it would have been cool to not know this.
yeah. I'll legitimately probably see the
There's
movie
really
4 times in theaters, so
there's honestly no reason to do this. I mean, like we've already mentioned, they're gonna make 2 billion minimum. So you just did it for the hell of it, and it was kind of annoying.
Gabe, what do you think?
I'll give you guys the farthest to the other side. This is the most excited I've
I
ever
lead your
been for
side,
something.
Gabe.
This is the most excited I've ever been for anything in Marvel.
like
I've
for
never
the
been
movie
this.
or that event
The movie
specifically.
and the event helped. The movie I was already really excited about, and the event helped because now I know characters that are going to be in this that I initially obviously didn't know they were going to be in this. I am on the side of Caleb where I believe that they're going to save some pretty big things. One of them being I fully believe that this has been speculated, but Chris Evans is going to show up in this movie. I'm pretty certain, and if they don't say that, I think that's going to be awesome. I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure
granted,
it's
it's
already like
already
been spoiled that he's
it's
supposed to be Captain Hydra.
well, everyone's again,
But that's
that's
the thing.
that's part of my complaint that I'm going to get into is all these Marvel pages that leak everything. Just delete your page. Stop doing this
Well,
because
I
that
all the
pisses me
names that were
off.
listed had no idea.
the
Oh,
Well,
the
except for like
well,
Captain
I'm
America and
happy.
stuff like that.
I'm happy with Chris Evans being whatever the hell you said, Captain Hydra or whatever. I'm glad that's a theory floating around because Marvel was not going to confirm that role. I'd be shocked and pissed if they revealed his name, which I like. I agree with Gabe. I don't think they're going to do that. But I like having those theories floating around. They make the thing more exciting when you don't know what's going to happen. I'm fine with this.
I mean, like I was saying, I agree with Caleb. I just think that they're going to keep the really big things hidden. But the biggest thing for me that this did is it's just we just didn't know anything about this movie other than these speculations. This gives us a hint of at least a direction, involving the X-Men. It's clearly going to be, I mean, we already knew it was going to be multiversal, but like, for example, one of the things that went under the radar for me that got me really excited is Shang-Chi. that alone makes me excited for this movie because I love the character and I'm excited for him to be in this movie, and now I know he's going to be in this movie. I am now super excited that he's in it. Like that alone has now raised my excitement. Obviously, like you guys said, I was going to be there no matter what, but character, just to name a few, Tom Hiddleston's Loki. I am now locked more than I was. Channing Tatum, James Marsden, like those two guys, like this is yes, I will agree with you guys in the fact that obviously it would be cool for these guys to show up without knowing. My biggest thing is I don't see a world. I agree, Jack. It is impressive how Marvel's been able to keep people hidden. We were 99% sure Spider-Man was going to have Tom and Toby. I mean, sorry, Andrew and Toby. Not, like, yeah, okay, we weren't positive. Part of it as well was different with them is the trailer mess up where you could see that they
Hmm.
edited out the two people getting kicked. That really hurt them because it was like, I wonder who that
they were
is.
doing such a good
It
job
was
too, and
like,
then
I
that trailer
wonder
came
who
out.
that is that's kicking them. But there were photos and shots of Andrew Garfield on sets where it was being shooting, and that's where my biggest complaint is going to come back to is all these Marvel pages that take leaks. I know it's like their job. That shit is annoying. And I think that's what happened here is Marvel eventually gets their hand forced to the sense where they can't keep 30 plus actors hidden. They just can't. Like you can't expect them to be able to do that for a movie this big because it's gonna get spoiled. Yeah, it's gonna be speculations, and I get that. Like, but we were talking the other day about speculations where everybody just believes the speculations. We're talking about Chris Evans saying that it's pretty much confirmed. Well, it hasn't been, but everybody believes it. That was gonna happen for several of these characters if they were even seen within 5 miles of the set. And like if they just start if this next characters that they announce gets rid of a bunch of big ones, I will start to be mad. Because for me, yeah, they named some big ones, absolutely. I'm significantly more excited for the fact that I think there's going to be some huge ones. Jack, you actually mentioned several of them. Hugh Jackman is one of the biggest ones. McAvoy, Fassbender, like there are so many characters that they could hide. And if this next batch comes through and they give us like a bunch of those guys, yeah, okay, now I'm gonna be pissed. Because at some point I'm not buying the full like you can't keep 30 guys hidden. True, you can keep 10. You can keep 5 to 10 guys hidden that really matter. And they can't be much bigger than RDJ as Doom. So like if it's going to be on that same level, I expect them to be fully fully aware that they're big surprises and that they can keep them hidden. And I also almost see this as like a kind of a distraction almost. Like you have all these huge actors that have just been named for this movie. You almost wonder if people are not they're not going to look as hard, but I almost think it's going to be easier in a way to keep like 5 really big actors hidden because you have all these other actors going in and out that in a way to me it's almost like it's like a decoy. I mean, it's not a decoy. They're huge actors. They're going to be big parts of the movie, but I don't know. I am hyped. I've never been so excited. The biggest complaint I have is the way they did it. Why did we sit there for 15 minutes looking at a chair? Like that was dumb. That flat out, that was stupid. Why did they do it? The chair thing wouldn't have been dumb if they did it like every minute and it was like a 15-minute video. Like then still wouldn't have been the most creative, but it would have been like, oh, that was cool. Instead, I sat on my ass with a live video up for 3 hours while I mean, obviously I was doing other things, but like it was so clearly a ploy just to get as many views, as many clicks over a large amount of time. They even posted something today that was like, "Thank you for all the views," and it was like,
Hmm.
"All right, guys, like
And they
you
broke the
could
record
have."
for most viewers on a live stream, I think.
I'm sure they did. The current record was probably like 15 because nobody does this shit. Like, it's ridiculous that they made this live at 5.5 hours of chairs. Like, that's dumb. And I will agree with you guys about that. But the casting, I am so unbelievably excited for this movie. Like every single person named, I'm excited about, even the minor characters. Like this is just gonna be awesome. I'm so stoked for this movie.
I know we're kind of on the rumor train. I saw a couple things that maybe said that at least explore maybe what the plot of this movie is going to be. I've seen some people saying that maybe they think it's going to be like a Avengers versus Fox X-Men movie with Doom pulling
Mhm.
the strings. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think it'd be cool.
That's like the main one I've seen.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it'd be cool. I hope if that is the case, they don't follow the comics too tightly because I think then it gets predictable. And I don't like when people know how it's going to go because the comics, on the other hand, some people want comic accuracy. But I would like to see what the Russo brothers think. I want to see their thoughts on it. I would like to see their own take on it. But the big thing for me to sell that, there has got to be a believable motive because these are two groups of like really impactful characters. The Avengers and the X-Men are two groups that I like. You like look up to them. They're superheroes. They're not fighting just because one of them stole the other one's lunch money. Like you need a very realistic understanding. Like it's got to be a good motive, or I'll be then I think it's stupid.
I just think it sounds really cool. Like I hadn't even considered that. I'm not much of a comic guy, but when I saw that theory of like
Mhm.
what kind of happens in some of the Secret War stuff, I was like, wait, that's actually going to be electric if that's the
Yeah, that
that's the
would be
plot.
sick. Watching their abilities go up against each other would be
Yeah,
crazy.
that'd be awesome.
But I think it'd be cool. It'd be interesting to see for sure. I don't know. Jack, what do you think? You didn't say anything about it.
About what?
The
Just
Avengers versus the X-Men concept.
It transcends.
um, I don't really have like strong feelings either way towards it. It would kind of feel a little similar to the whole Civil War storyline that they have already done. Adapted, obviously, it'd be a bigger scale with more heroes.
Just a little
Um,
bit.
yeah, a little bit. But at the same time, it might be necessary because are you really gonna stack up 50 characters to fight Robert Downey Jr.?
Exactly.
Like,
I would.
so you either need like Doom to recruit other villains to make this a better,
Mhm.
concept, or it is going to have to be that storyline. And I'm open to either option. I
Mhm.
I mean, if you bring in some type of not necessarily the Sinister Six, but some type of supervillain team like that, I call me. I'm good. I'm
Cinema?
happy with that. Yeah, cinema. But if it takes form of even if it's like say a misunderstanding for a while, not a misunderstanding is only going to take you so
The
far.
Russos
But
have never done that before.
no, they would not. They would never. But like you don't necessarily have to demonize like one of the sides. Like you could make it more of a
I know what you're saying.
conflicting both right type of
Mhm.
deal. So
Civil War,
Civil War,
except Team Iron Man
Punisher
was more
versus
right.
Daredevil, like stuff happens. So what'd you just
Civil
say?
Doom.
I said except Team Iron Man was more right.
I
What
actually
do
don't really
you
care
mean by
who's right. I'm just biased.
Why would you say that?
So Team Iron Man.
I mean, overall, I think we can kind of just end this off by just saying, obviously, we're excited. Yes, it was lazy. The concept of it could have been a lot better than just let's look at chairs for 5 hours. So, Marvel, if you're listening,
Unlikely,
Talking to
but
you,
yeah,
Kevin.
go on.
yeah, talking to you, Mr. Feige. If they do decide to release another group of characters, I hope it's not like this. I hope they find a better way to do it
like
because
a trailer would be cool.
Yeah,
honestly,
I would love a trailer to reveal this
I could
stuff.
go off on a whole tangent about the concept of a trailer for this movie and how important the trailer is going to be. But yeah, a trailer would be cool. But that obviously won't happen as they literally just started production. But unless they just wait, but they could. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, we're excited for the movie and get used to us talking about Marvel stuff because Marvel's they got a lot coming this way. So all right.
Don't
Well,
forget about
with that
Superman.
and Superman.
Shut the hell.
And
All right, all right, all
Clayface.
right.
All right. Well,
Clayface.
moving on to
They
the
are
movie
making a Clayface
review,
movie.
we have my last film of our decades, which was Monkey Man. So I will be going last. We will stick with the order we've been doing, which is Caleb, Jack, Tyler, and then I will go. Caleb, you are up to bat, my
Kind
friend.
of, kind of wasn't ready there, but it's okay. I was like, oh, we're probably gonna get oh shit, it's me. Okay.
Get ready, buddy.
All right, let me lock in. Okay. All right.
Yep, you got a lock.
Okay, so pros. I thought the camera work as my first. That's the first thing I'm gonna start with. Is the camera work. I thought it was really good. I'm kind of a sucker for the new trend of like tracking of the movements of like fights, or kind of like moves with the movement. I don't know. It's cool, and I think the cuts he was doing was like chaotically appealing. Usually, I don't like those like fast cuts, but it kind of worked for me in this movie. Um, and I think following that, I think a good word to kind of describe this movie in general was like slick. The fighting just kind of with that is like the fighting was like really brutal, like more brutal than I've seen recently. But it kind of had like it just smooth. It was smooth. Like it just flowed well. Kind of the story did too. And I just thought the filmmaking was just like really impressive. It just felt very like it felt high budget in a sense. Like it just felt like one of those blockbuster and it was. But that's just kind of how it feels to me. Um, and to me, this movie kind of feels like just like magnum opus type of movie. I thought the story was very like personal, and I thought like the themes were like on the nose. Like I feel like this is like his life's work of like this is what he wants to do. Like it's like his thing. And I thought like did I say the themes were kind of on the nose?
You
Because
said you just said
Unfortunately,
the
yeah, you did.
story in general.
oh yeah. I thought they were brought to us in a meaningful manner with like the themes of like classism and like colonialism. But so I thought that was pretty good. I thought the characters were pretty cool. I think that they weren't like explored too much, but they didn't have to be for this movie. Alfonso was a fun sidekick. I wish we would have gotten more of him. And Alpha was a cool guy during that like slow act of the movie. You don't like Alfonso?
The drug dealer.
He was funny.
Alfonso
Yes,
was his
most funny
friend.
part about the movie, by the way.
True.
So
Spoilers.
it's a review.
The review. No, spoiler for
Spoilers.
your review.
Oh, that Alfonso's funny.
Mhm.
Okay.
Ruined Jack's review. Great.
Damn it, my bad, guys. Sorry, Caleb.
I thought the intensity at certain parts of the movie was probably, and I keep going with that. Maybe the most particular point was like when he first fights Rana in the bathroom, just like when he like like what's about to happen. That was a really intense part, and the scene of his memory where he's like seeing his mother dying. That whole thing was like really captivating. I thought the writing does what it can to wrap you in emotionally to the movie. And then I wanted to end by saying shout out to the final fight scenes. I'm glad he gets his revenge on the last two guys, and I think it's fitting he dies. Like it would have been kind of strange if he somehow survived that. I was pleasantly satisfied at the conclusion, and I also thought it was nice to have no music for the main events there. Reminded me of Dune. I think it's gonna kind of what we're gonna. If a fight happens without music now, I'm just gonna instantly connect it to Dune now. Unfortunately, probably.
You mean fortunately?
Well, fortunately, but like, I feel bad
I
for
get
the
it.
movie I'm watching.
It'd be better.
Yeah. On to my cons here. I did kind of think that there was
Think.
moments. I thought
Thunked.
thinks. I thunk. I thought there were moments where we were sacrificing some of the plot for action, most egregiously during the second act. Frankly, at some point, I was completely checked out of the element. I didn't really care much what was happening until it slowed down. There's like a whole like 25, 30-minute sequence where he's going through where it ends with him getting shot. That whole like that's like the end of that like whole 30-minute thing where he's leaving the bar and then the whole
When
thing
the
through like
cops are chasing him.
brothel, basically, yeah. I
Oh,
thought
where
it
he
was-
gets shot off the roof into the
yeah,
river.
that's where it ends. Where I just was like, okay, this is a little bit too much. With that being said, I'm a little torn on how I feel about the pace. I think I trend negatively. I thought it followed like a common structure like the story did, but I just kind of thought it didn't work based on what the plot was. Everything felt like maximized like to the utmost degree to where like everything was like stretched out. Like I didn't think we needed to do that. I thought it was very like some of the scenes were like thought provoking. I think this is like again, like, there's like it'll cut to like a shot and it's like kind of random. Kind of reminds me of Nickel Boys game where it'll cut to something and it's like it's important to the theme, but it doesn't really do much.
I mentioned that.
Yeah. And so I just thought there was like that's just like one example of like what I think of like the maximization of this movie. And I think thirdly, and probably most importantly, I just think I felt a lack of interest in the movie. I don't I guess the appeal to these types of movies just isn't as high for me as it is for other people. I think that's just kind of it's a personal thing. Like I really just can't do much with that. I think it does a good job of separating itself from like John Wick and other ones similar. But like I remember like when we saw the trailer and we were like, this is basically just John Wick, and they even mention it. So I think it's like they're wearing their influences on their sleeve. And I think that this movie was good being like unique, but like again, I guess I'm just not a sucker for those kind of like action revenge. I don't know. It's just like John Wick. It's a good movie to me. It's not like my favorite, but um, those are I have three cons, but obviously they're pretty big. And for my other comments, 151 rum. That was awesome. That was great. Great.
That was
pick.
sick.
And then bro actually took LSD
Why wouldn't you?
You wouldn't?
to become the Monkey Man, of course. I'm done.
All right, Jack,
Okay.
you're up.
Yeah, for a second there, towards the beginning of that, I wasn't sure if you had seen John Wick or not, with the way
I
you were
have seen the
talking about
first
like,
one.
yeah, with the way you were talking about the way the action shot and stuff. I was like, he hasn't compared it to John Wick yet,
Yeah.
but because I am a bit of a disagreement with you, not a lot, but in terms of differentiating itself from John Wick, it's pretty much John Wick to me. I mean, just the focus on the action and the focus on the smooth aspect you talked about, which I do really like. That's the most appealing part of John Wick and this movie probably is the smooth feel. There's a style to it, and the action is just really fun. It's creative, it's fun. They get creative with both what they're doing and the way they film it. This movie honestly probably did better than John Wick in terms of like, oh, it's been a while since I've seen John Wick, but I was just saying in terms of leaving an impression on me with like the way they use the music during the fight scenes as well. I thought they did a really good job in this movie. Um, it wasn't just like exactly conventional every time the fight would happen. Like it would play out differently than I would expect, especially like the cage fights. Like I know Gabe's jaw dropped, but when he goes back in to fight the snake guy and he just one taps the guy, I was like,
Yeah,
all
that shocked
right.
me.
All right. And then they bring out like, I don't know, Yao Ming, some like 7'9" guy. And yeah, that aspect was really fun to me. That's easily the best part of this movie. That's that's carrying. I also thought that Dev Patel in general was just really enjoyable. I mean, once again, similarly to John Wick, there's not a ton of diving into the characters like you mentioned, Caleb, but he's still an enjoyable character to follow. Just naturally, I think I suppose that counts as charisma, even if he's not talking too much. It was just easy to follow him as a lead. Um, he has a fairly generic like revenge backstory, but it works. Um, I think I talked a little bit about this with Gabe, but the way they did the backstory and pacing was sometimes all over the place for me. Like I liked that they would use it during the fights, like because he's reliving it and seeing it while he's fighting, and he's in these life or death situations. He's seeing why he's fighting. But I would have liked to have like probably gotten it earlier in the movie. Like I feel like we don't see what actually fully happens until like probably 75% of the way through the movie when he takes the LSD. It's probably when you figure out what actually happened. And I would have just probably rather seen that, maybe a third of the way through the movie. You don't have to like start with it, but seeing that earlier and then, had the flashbacks during the fights reminding us of it. Um, Apart from Dev Patel's character, I'm once again in agreement. They didn't really flush anybody else out or flesh anyone else out. Um, don't really dive into anybody. Some of the characters are like solid side characters. It's Alfonso, right? He was probably the best supporting character in my opinion, just because he brought a lot of unexpected humor to a serious action revenge movie that's supposed to be pretty brutal. Like, and I wasn't even expecting to like him either when we first seen him. It's like, who's this sleazy drug dealer? Like, screw this guy. And then he'd just start saying shit, and I'd be like, "Damn it, Alfonso!"
I call her
And
Nikki.
yeah, like that kind of stuff. You're just like, "Son of a bitch," and you just kind of laugh. You just give up. And so, I did enjoy that. I think that contributed to the style and feel that this movie had. Also, I know I kind of drifted away from my Dev Patel point, but I did not realize he directed this until the credit rolled up. Like, I think I knew that at one point, but I definitely forgot because I just remembered that it was made like by I don't know if it's the same producers as John Wick or whatever. There was some of the same crew from
Jordan Peele
the
produced
John
it.
Wick movies. Is that what it is?
He's one of them.
Well, I thought there was some connection to the actual John Wick franchise because I know they were trying to do something similar. They even name dropped the movie in the movie, so it's like they know what they're trying to go for. But I thought he did his own thing with it. I thought he did very well with it. Honestly, I was shocked that was his first movie, directed to my knowledge at least, and I'd be very open to seeing him do more. But I think that movie and then The Green Knight are the only two Dev Patel movies I've seen, and he's 2 for 2 on me liking him so far. I don't think either of them are like, you know, 5-star gonna be in my favorite movies, but they're both good movies in my opinion. So basically, there was a lot of good action that had me in. I really liked our main character, but sometimes I'm in a lot of agreement with you, Caleb. I think the plot would just be all over the place at points. It's not that deep. and it's kind of just a fun time. So I'll save my stars for the end.
All right.
All right. I said for a two hour movie, I thought the pacing felt fast, but in a good way. We weren't exactly jumping from point to point too quickly, but the events and scenes felt fast. And in a movie like this, that is very much a good thing. I never felt out of it, and this movie had me locked in from start to finish. In the beginning, I did question the motive and direction from Bobby, but they very smoothly and clearly explained to us why he's doing what he's doing. The constant callbacks, whether they were flashes of images or straight up scenes, were very much needed in the effort to give us clarity on the motive, and I enjoyed the approach they took. I know this movie. Wait, what? There we go. I know this movie was praised for its camera work, but outside the last 30 minutes, I really did not like it. I felt like it was all over the place. They attempted this POV shot on the stairs during the first fight, and I just simply did not like it. But like I mentioned, the last 30 minutes, not only camera work wise, but just everything about it was peak. I had so much fun watching the final 30 minutes outside of the first half camera work. The two other complaints I had were the one scene where he pulled his chest open. I just thought it was very poorly edited and wasn't a fan of that whole thing. And then finally, and this isn't a knock on the movie at all, really, but not being accustomed to this culture and religion, there were times I felt out of place. Like if I grew up in this culture, I feel like this movie would have hit twice as hard, and I will save my
I
overall
think that's probably fair.
for the end.
That's something I didn't
Very good
mention
point.
about.
I mean, yeah.
It's a really
Well,
good
I
point.
mean, with all the religious like undertones they try to incorporate into it, like
Hmm.
I'm not that accustomed with Hinduism. I don't really know necessarily what that means or what that's talking about. It's going to mean more to someone. I get what you mean, Tyler.
Thanks.
Right.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, once again, we are in that position where the person going last, I'm going to try not to repeat too many things, but it's inevitable. So, I remember seeing trailers for this movie a year ago or so and being very excited for it. I thought that it looked really fun. And knowing that it was Dev Patel's first directed film, I was like, okay, this is interesting. I had seen Green Knight. As you guys know, I really like Green Knight. I liked it more than you guys by a good chunk. And that's one of those movies where I don't know. One of those movies
Yeah, man, try to get it out.
where I don't know why I like it so. I do know why, but like I understand why people don't like it. I get it. But for me, it just worked so very well. Um, but yeah, so I was looking forward to this movie. The biggest pro is pretty easily the action, and it's not close. That isn't to say that there aren't other good things in this movie, but the action was like absolutely stunning. Just blew me away. Very unique. And Jack, I will go ahead and say it is better than John Wick action for a lot of it, in my opinion. John Wick 4, no. John Wick 4 is goated. But John Wick 1, I do think that the action in this movie is shot better. I really do. I enjoy the concept of it more. The different camera angles are so immersive. Like you literally feel like you are witnessing this fight with the character. And I love that. And the other thing that I liked was at no point are we really using the same angle. He felt like it was a different view, a different idea, a different concept for every shot. And that constantly made the movie feel unique and fresh. And that just worked very well. Talking about Dev in general, I thought that he was really good in this movie as a protagonist. I enjoyed the simple yet effective revenge motive, and I thought that he really like played out the emotions necessary just very well. He enacted the rage, the anger, the pain. His emotional scenes were very good. And like Jack said, he might not have said a lot, but he made it work. I mean, he was very likable, very good for this role. I really enjoyed him. As for other characters, I really enjoyed Alfonso. Jack, you also said this. You and I were talking about it the whole time. He was just funny, like the whole time. Constant. Jack and I just kept laughing at him. Like
He's so
not,
dumb, but he's funny.
but like he just had a lot of good lines, and it was also kind of cool to see him like genuinely. I don't want to say stand up, but be on our character's side. Like he wanted him to succeed. He felt bad for him when he's watching on TV and sees that they're chasing him. Like he got caught up in all this, but he wasn't just a dirtbag. Like he cared about our character. I mean, he's a drug dealer, so he's a little bit
Yeah.
of a dirtbag, but
He's
he's
he said, "I'm
likable.
sorry, bro," before he left him.
Yeah, like he's not a bad. He's enjoyable. But then I also really enjoyed Rana, the bad guy, not the main bad one,
The
but
cop,
like
the cop.
yes, I thought he
Yeah.
was like pretty menacing with a lot of the fights that he was involved with,
He was a
and
tank.
especially with the yeah, he was a big dude, but especially with the backstory, like watching him attack his mom was really intense. That scene hit hard. That was a lot. And I thought he was really good with the role. Like he was genuinely menacing, very like he was just good. I liked him. Um, Talking about the story itself, it kind of had me all over the place. On one hand, I enjoy the vengeance storyline. I am on the opposite side of this than you, Caleb. I am a sucker for these movies. I like revenge action. I like watching. It's just fun. I just think I think entertaining is like the perfect word for these movies. They're just sit back and have a good time with them. And I liked how it did in ways differentiate itself from John Wick. It also had the similarities, but it also made sure to differentiate itself with the camera work, with the different types of angles. Like that felt different. That felt unique, and I liked that. However, the constant religious undertones in this movie involving Alpha as a group, especially, kind of made things chaotic. I think this movie tried to essentially be more than just an action-packed revenge film, but I think that's all it should be. I mean, I don't think this movie needed to be as much as it was. I think that it just got a little too deep and it tried to be too deep and ended up not connecting. And I think it's what Tyler was talking about. It doesn't connect because we're not used to this culture. We're not used to this religion. So it's just not gonna hit like it should. And on one hand, that's really cool for Dev to be able to make this cultural film based off what he's lived through, what he's been a part of. But on the other hand, he has to know that that's like you're crossing out half of your movie to half of your potential audience. Like it's just not going to hit with part of your audience because they're not going to understand it. They can respect it and be like, yeah, that was a really beautiful like example of their culture, but that's just not going to hit home the way that he might have intended it to. And I think that that ended up putting a bit of a divide in between the actual like impact of the story because I thought this could have just been a action-packed revenge film and I would have enjoyed it more. Um, I can't reiterate how much I enjoyed the action in this movie. From the choreography to the actual film work, there were just so many scenes in this movie that were memorable that I really enjoyed. Dev Patel showcased his talent as both an actor and a director with this movie. I just enjoyed nearly every fight. But what really got me, as Tyler also mentioned, was the last 30 minutes. Watching him enact this plan where he is just locked in. He had the little training montage, and now he's just this beast. I mean, literally a beast. He's like biting dudes, and I mean, that's earlier in the
Literally
film,
an animal. I'm sorry. If you're biting people,
but
you're
the
getting
last
attacked.
30 minutes of him going after the main villain was the best. I mean, that was the most enjoyable. He was so locked. You get the iconic poster of him in the red elevator. That was such a good shot. That was just that was your money shot right there. But yeah, I'll go ahead and save my rating and my overall recap for the end then.
Or right now, rather.
Oh,
All right.
all right.
um, for me, in summary, I thought this was a pretty powerful and personal story that Dev Patel has with Monkey Man. I thought the action sequences are the highlight, along with some good and important themes. I thought Patel himself was good in his role, and in general was quite fascinated by the cast. I just think the mix of pace and my general connection to the story held me back. I did think it was good, so I did give it a 3.5 out of 5. So still, definitely not a bad experience by any means.
I'll be a little more concise than that. This is just a really fun movie. It has some really phenomenal action, both in terms of like what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I think this is a great starting point for Dev Patel. I thought this was a great first showing for him, and I'm looking forward to projects he makes in the future. However, I am not like fully sold on it as the story just was not like some insanely resounding story to me. It wasn't that deep, and I thought the pacing was all over the place at points. But other than that, really enjoyed it. So I was at a 3.5 as well.
Well, I'm gonna hop on that train. I also gave it a 3.5. I had a lot of fun with this movie. It was nice to watch an action-packed movie where you didn't have to think much and you just watch a dude kick ass, and that's what we get. 3.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hop on this train and drive it off a mountain.
No.
What an ass.
by half a star because I'm giving this a 4 star. All in all, I did really enjoy this movie. While I thought that the plot might have been a little bit suffocating at times, not sure where it wanted to go, I did think that the action made up for this. It's crazy to me that this is Dev's first directed movie because this felt like generational camera work at times. I really think that this should be a film that gets like studied for the camera work at times. So even though the story might not have resonated with me really well, I did really enjoy the action and the creative twist to the movie. So, yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5. All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and end it there then. If you guys have seen Monkey Man, please let us know in the comments what your thoughts are about it. I'd love to hear if you guys thought that there was something more to it than what we initially thought. So, as always, thank you guys for listening to the episode, and we will catch you guys next time.